Hello everyone, welcome to another video where I will be discussing for this Music Talk Tuesday romantic love songs. Yes, last week I covered love songs that could be fairly interpretive as to what exactly the love is referring to, but now we're just going to go straight up into the romance ones. These are the ones that I find to be the most enjoyable, the most powerful, and that I felt resonated with me the most. I'm sure there are lists that other people would like to throw out there of their favorites, but I'm going to discuss the ones that stand out to me the most and I feel leave the most impact. So without further ado, let me discuss these songs. First, going right out of the gate with something that is sort of fun and, laid back kind of at the same time, but still full of that positive energy, is Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys. Yes, I really do enjoy the Beach Boys. I find their music to be very enjoyable. For the time for when they were, basically the music that they made while they were popular, I think is the one that is the time period that I think worked the best for them as a band. And Wouldn't It Be Nice is probably one of their more famous songs. What I like about this song is how carefree it is. It doesn't try to take itself too seriously, which is something that I enjoy. And I think when you're in love, you sort of let go of that seriousness and sort of mundaneness out of life, and you just enjoy it. You just go in and have a good time. And Wouldn't It Be Nice sort of reflects that because, it gives you this sense of, wouldn't it be nice to, build our future together, and wouldn't it be nice to do these things together? So it kind of tries to build upon the relationship, which is, I think, something important to have within a romantic love song because usually romantic love songs discuss a lot about the devotion to the one person, but they don't discuss a lot about the sort of dreams and sort of ambitions that they have together. And Wouldn't It Be Nice sort of reflects that even within the title, wouldn't it be nice if we were older, then we wouldn't have to wait so long, wouldn't it be nice if we could do all of these things together, and so on and so forth. It goes by that format, so I think when you're a couple, you usually like to plan things within the future, even if those things ultimately don't end up happening in maybe the way you envisioned them. You sort of kind of share your lives, you share your dreams and your plans for the future. So I thought that this song was interesting in the fact that it sort of addressed that, as opposed to just discussing complete devotion or focusing on some other aspect of romantic love. It focused on the sort of future and the kind of dream building that couples share with one another. And I think sometimes, life gets in the way sometimes, and, wouldn't it be nice if we could just, skip all of the things that we have to go through and all the hoops we have to jump over with and, get to a certain point within the relationship. So I think that's another thing that I think a lot of romantic couples can identify with. So it's just very cheery, upbeat, energetic, while at the same time kind of having that same Beachy Boys sort of laid back tone. It's not so serious, and I think it executes itself in a very, very fantasy-oriented way, but is still presenting itself with some real emotions and some real feelings, and I think that those feelings can resonate with those who've had experiences with romantic relationships. So I think it's definitely worth a recommendation if you are interested. Now for the next song, I'm going to be briefly discussing Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel. Billy Joel only holds this title. I'm sorry, Bruno Mars, but I'm sorry, but this song to me is the song that I think about when I think about Just the Way You Are. Apparently, they're the same title. I don't know how Bruno Mars got away with that. I don't know if you can really technically get away with that, but I'm sure that there is some way you can, because I mean it's a fairly common sort of saying that people present to one another. Um, but the reason why I feel Billy Joel's song is more along the lines of romantic love is because you kind of see within the lyrics sort of like um, you know, the things that we would um, associate more with, I think, a romantic love rather than simply a platonic love. And what I like about this song is it has this very jazzy feel to it. There's some saxophone going on in there, and it's really enjoyable to listen to. It's very kind of romantic, which I think is it suits the song really well. Compared to the Beach Boys, where it's just kind of just happy-go-lucky, this song is a little bit more, you know, it has a little bit more of a passion to it in that it feels it feels you sort of feel like the heat's on, you know, especially with that saxophone. That saxophone just works wonders for this song. What I like too is also the message of the song, which is a lot different from "Wouldn't It Be Nice." Its message is more on the lines of really what the title is. I love you just the way you are. You know, don't go changing who you are. Don't go trying to be somebody else, because I love you just the way you are. And I think that's something that truly sort of represents sort of the um, romantic love, because oftentimes I think within romantic relationships, we try to change ourselves in order to get the other person to appreciate or like us. But I think um, really we do find that one person when that person truly accepts you for who you are as a person and appreciates everything that you do for them. Um, so to me, I think this was a it was sort its message is very simple yet profound, and I like the way that Billy Joel really conveys this in a very sort of um, passionate yet sometimes soothing kind of way, um, especially with the instrumentals that go on throughout the song. It's just one of those songs that just kind of sweeps you off your feet and takes you on this journey, and you do feel like, you know, you're experiencing that emotion that you maybe have for that one other person, because you know that one person loves you just the way you are. So, um, yeah, I think that's just something that I think really struck me throughout the song, um, I really enjoy it. So it's, I think, definitely worth the recommendation. If you enjoy that more sort of romantic, slow moving tone. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is "When a Man Loves a Woman" by Percy Sledge. Oh my, this song. What I enjoy about this song is just how passionate Percy's voice is. Man, when he is singing this song, he is so invested into it. You can just tell by just the way he drags out those really long notes, you know, how he just, you know, just emphasizes the words. I mean, it's just, this song just blows my mind every time I listen to it. And I think it describes sort of romantic love in the male point of view. And I find that to be fascinating because as a woman, I like seeing things through the male perspective. Maybe some other women don't like seeing it through the male perspective, but I do. Um, and I really like the way he approaches this song, because unlike the previous songs that I've mentioned, it's not only told through sort of the male perspective, but it also kind of showcases a little bit of the kinds of things that I guess a man would feel when it comes to a romantic relationship, that, you know, he doesn't see any wrong in her. He um when somebody puts her down, he'll be the first one to jump on it and defend her. So I think it's really it's a more devotional song, but at the same time I find it interesting that it's done through that kind of male perspective, and it does feel very I don't know if that's just because of Percy's voice or just the way the instrumentals play off, but hearing this song is just very it feels very passionate, but in sort of that masculine way. um and I find that to be so enjoyable to listen to. It has that sort of jazziness to it, similar to Just the Way You Are. But it still sort of represents that kind of that kind of genre of R&B that was um, popular during the time when the song came out. So it does seem a little bit more traditional. But I think overall it conveys its message really well. And I just think that the vocalist just had so much um, emphasis and passion put into his voice that I think it really gives off these really powerful emotions. So well done, Percy, and this song is just so much fun to listen to. Good job. Um, but I think that's really ultimately all I can say about that song. The next one I want to talk about is a Beatles song. Yes, we're going to talk about the Beatles. Now, I know there's some people who really do like this one Beatles song that is about love. There's a lot of Beatles songs that are about romantic love. I still have this theory that the Beatles were the first ever boy band, but I could be wrong. But I almost want to say I'm certain. Especially when I see footage of the '60s and these girls going crazy. Yeah, it convinces me. But there are a lot of songs out there that are written by the Beatles that are really well done and really well executed, and I think they all shine their light on romantic love in some unique way. I'm not saying that that's not there, but I am definitely limiting the Beatles to one song on this list. And I thought I would pick the one that I thought conveyed to me the that could at least I felt was the most kind of romantic and the most pretty sounding, in my opinion. And that is "And I Love Her." Um, what I like about this song, unlike some of the other love songs from the Beatles, is I feel like it's very it has this sense of dreaminess to it, but there's also this kind of beauty. I like the little guitar strings that it kind of plays like very slowly throughout some of the portions. I like how it feels very like you're floating on a cloud, um, and it has this kind of sensuality to it that I think really works off the song really well. And I felt that it conveyed the emotions a lot more clearly, and they felt a little bit more, I guess, um, I guess they just felt the most romantic to me. A lot of the Beatles songs, they're either kind of just happy-go-lucky love songs, or maybe they'll have something a little bit more serious, like Something, which I know is the one that people always pick, but I didn't find that one to be um, as it didn't have that sensual kind of uh, sort of loving nature to it as much as I thought "And I Love Her" did. So that's why I chose this song. And I think you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from if you listen to the song. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain, but I honestly felt that this one it was simple, it was straightforward. He just basically expresses throughout the song how he loves her and sort of why he does and what she does to sort of, you know, love him in that way. So I like how it's very, it just has this tenderness to it. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of edges to it. I felt like it just flowed well. Um, and I felt something just kind of had like these moments where it was just like, do 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 do, but it wasn't as it's kind of something sounds a little bit kind of hazy, you know, like kind of drunk almost. And this one I felt sounded a little bit more. It sounded like something that you would, you know, be, you know, listening to with your significant other or something like that. I mean, it just felt some. It just had this, I think, um, romantic image in my mind that I felt suited this list more than something. But I totally understand that there's other people who feel differently, but I do find myself enjoying this one a little bit more. Um, for kind of that reason, because I feel like it gravitates more to the romantic element better. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about And I Love Her. Moving on to the next one. In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. Excuse me, I apologize if that was a horrible Peter Gabriel impression, but that's kind of how he sings it. What I like about this song is that it it kind of treats this romantic love in a very sort of deep way. Just by the sheer title of the song, In Your Eyes, you know, you feel the 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 sort of connection that Peter Gabriel's trying to make. And I felt like he did this really well with this. He did really well with this in this song because, you know, In Your Eyes, you know, is sort of like the portal to the soul, as people like to say. And I think Peter Gabriel kind of tried to envision that, and I think he did a really good job. And I think oftentimes um, people who do get involved in romantic relationships, oftentimes it's kind of like, you know, you feel that really strong connection, and it feels like you're seeing things through the other person's perspective sometimes, or you're getting lost just by being around that person. So that's what I think this and not lost in a bad way. I lost in a good way. But I think that's what Peter Gabriel was trying to envision, sort of like the fascination of the other person, sort of on an individual level. Um, and I think there's just this beauty to it. There's just this, and it does have this kind of 80s undertone sort of throughout, but at the same time there is just this sheer weight. There's really there's just a lot of power in this song. Sort of similar to When a Man Loves a Woman, but not so much lyrically through Percy's voice, but through Peter Gabriel's like instrumentals, um, along with his voice, you could say. But it's really those sort of emotions in the background that really do enhance what Peter Gabriel is saying. So I think it really gels out really well, and I do feel the weight, I do feel the significance and the importance. So I think when a song can do that, I think it's doing something well. So yeah, that's all I think I can say though about that song. Now let's go back to a classic, or at least a classic that I think a lot of people know and have heard of, but I cannot help I can't help but put it on this list because it's just that great. And that's Unchained Melody by Righteous Brothers. I think it's Brothers, not Brother, but apologize if I wrote that incorrectly. But oh my, Unchained Melody. There is this kind of traditional sort of pop sound that I think really works to the song's advantage. Um, I like how it has uh, this kind of awe and this beauty to it, and it just has this very you know built up desire, but it's kind of like it's a good desire, it's a good feeling, and I think this song really embraces that romantic feel really well. I really like when he says uh like right through the beginning, "Oh my love, my darling, I have hungered for your touch a long, lonely time." So I think that's just it. It just has this this soothing yet um, very you know powerful beauty to it. Like there's just this you feel the kind of awe. And there's something kind of angelic almost about this song at points, and you'll sort of understand what I mean when you listen to it. It's it's very straightforward though, just about finally reaching that point of sort of true love, I guess you could say. Um, and just the way that it presents itself, it conveys, I think, a lot of the sort of uh, real emotions that a lot of people have. And I just could not escape putting this song on because it's just so memorable. It's just so well done. I just feel the romance coming right off of me when I listen to the song. So I think definitely worth the recommendation if you are interested. Um, Now there's another song that I'm going to mention on this list. There's a lot of songs actually on this list. I apologize, but there's just too many romantic love songs out there. Um, Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney. Now, you could argue that Paul McCartney is part of the Beatles, so technically I am putting in another Beatles song, but this was purely his work. And I think it's probably actually one of his more famous works that came out once he went solo. Um, I think years later. I don't think this came out um, right after the Beatles broke up, but it's it is one of the more memorable ones. It's one of the ones that people uh, find themselves, I think, listening to um, out of the Paul McCartney solo library. Um, and I do find myself really enjoying this song. I like sort of the mix that it has going for it because on the one hand, it sort of sounds similar to Billy Joel's song, um, Just the Way You Are, but it's a little less jazzy. It's it's a little bit more um, it just has different sort of elements to it. Um, and you can sort of see this as you listen throughout the song. And what I do like though is I like how um, you know Paul McCartney describes um, love as by being amazed. Um, because I think when that one person comes into your life, you feel you're just blown away. You're just amazed because wow, this person is so unique. Wow, this person's so different. Wow, this person I can see myself being with, um, and then they get this huge sense of overwhelmingness, or just, and I think that this song really conveyed that overwhelmingness well, and I like that it just feels raw, it feels real, and I really like how Paul McCartney sort of made it sound um, sound kind of the sound similar to Billy Joel's song, but make it completely different in its own way. Because again, you don't really feel the sensualness of it so much as you feel just the raw, happy emotions, um, and just the sheer weight and power. but it doesn't take itself, I think, so seriously as something like In Your Eyes. Um, but yeah, I think it's definitely one worth recommending and one that I really enjoy. Um, now, the second to last song that I wanted to mention um, is Have You Ever Loved a Woman by Bryan Adams. Now, some people might be like, why didn't you pick this song by Bryan Adams? Why didn't you pick that song about Bryan Adams? Or by Bryan Adams? Well, I thought this one, when I was looking through the Bryan Adams library, I found this one to be the less cheesy, and I also found this one to be the less generic out of his romantic songs library. Reason being is um, the title pretty much summarizes the song in the sense that it asks someone, have you ever really loved a woman? And then he describes, sort of what it means to love a woman. Now, some people might say, oh, I have my own definition. I have my own understanding of what it means to love a woman. And you probably wouldn't be doing this unless, yeah, well, I don't know. It's just, I don't think a lot of the male side of my species would be doing this thing, but they would probably be saying, well, I know what love is, and I don't need Bryan Adams to tell me what love is, and blah, blah, blah. But what I do find really enjoyable about this song is you feel like literally when Bryan Adams is singing the song, you do feel like that there is this kind of, there's this sensualness, but then you feel like that there's this power and this weight. And I thought that's what made the song really enjoyable. Not only that, but you sort of have this kind of Latin flavor in the song, which I find really enjoyable. And just the way he approaches the lyrics, just how he gives these lyrics such weight and importance and emphasizes the certain lines that are within the song, I think are very deep. Like some of the lines kind of blow me, and they take you into a place where it's just you feel like he's really reaching in there. He's really trying to get in deep. Because at one point he's like, if you can see your unborn children in her eyes, then you know you really love a woman. And that's pretty deep. I mean, that's pretty deep stuff right there. So he is trying to go for that core of what it sort of romantic love means. And I think in this way he did it really well. I think he approached the lyrics really well. And I think that adding in the instrumentals in the background enhances his message. But you do really feel the weight just by his sheer presence with this song. Sort of similar to Percy Sledge, but again, he's not like, belting out, long lines. He's just slowly and surely and smoothly executing the lyrics, but at the same time, you do feel the weight when he's singing them. So I think it's brilliantly done. It's one of the more enjoyable, I think, love songs out of Bryan Adams's romantic love song library, and I found it to be the most in depth, and I thought was reaching for something that I felt was a little bit less generic than some of his other songs that discuss romantic love or discuss similar things. But yeah, I think that's ultimately all I can say about that song. Last song that I want to mention, and before Elvis leaves the building, let's talk about an Elvis song. Can't Help Falling in Love. Now, some people might be saying, where is Love Me Tender? I like it. I just don't think it's as good as Can't Help Falling in Love. I just don't think it has the same amount of weight. What I like about Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley is that it sort of has that traditional Elvis sound to it, especially with his voice, because you do feel like it is Elvis when he's singing. um, but I really do enjoy the lyrics. I really do enjoy sort of the message of, you know, not being able to hold back emotions, not being able to, you know, uh, you know, reserve feelings. I like how he's just presenting them out in the open and saying, I can't help but fall in love with you. You know, I can't help but um, have these feelings for you. And I think that's something very identifiable that people have, because I think there is a point when it comes to a romantic relationship when you do sort of declare your love, and I think this song really declared it rather well. Um, and such lyrics like, would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? You know, it, there's just points where you just feel like swoon. But I mean, it's Elvis. I mean, at least before he started eating too much. um, but yeah, I think it is one of his most iconic. I think it is one of the most memorable. Um, it's one of the ones where I feel like that there is this laid back, smooth tone to it that the Wouldn't It Be Nice song by the Beach Boys had, but at the same time it mixes in that sort of awe and enchantment that Unchained Melody had. So that's why I felt like this one was unique in its own sort of special way. Um, but yeah, I think it's just very enjoyable, and I I think that's really all I can say about that song. So Elvis has officially left the building, and I am officially done with this list. Those are all the songs. I will be sure to leave links below so that you may enjoy them. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say. I think there's a lot of interesting, unique, creative songs out there that express romantic love, and I would be more than happy to hear what your guys' thoughts are and which ones stand out to you. But those were the ones that I think stood out to me the most. But I know that there's tons of people who have different opinions on this than I do. But yeah, I think that's really all I can say. But again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you on the next video where we will be continuing the month of love. But until next time, everybody,